the people that I want here in my space are here because pole actually is something that's changed their lives. You really have to be passionate about this.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's taxing on your body. After a while, you start teaching, people start treating you bad or whatever, they get on your nerves. You might lose that desire to just teach tricks.
Right.
But I will never lose that desire to help other women find themselves.
You're listening to The Aerial Hour, episode number 20. The Aerial Hour is a show that dives deeper into what it takes to build a sustainable business in the aerial industry. Hey there, friends. Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Aerial Hour. I'm your host, Tara, and today I am coming to you from Tennessee. We're about an hour east of Memphis, and the weather is pretty nice compared to Texas, where we've been for the last couple of months. Before we get to today's interview, let me share just a couple of things with you. Our industry is facing uncertain times, and I just wanted to say I see you. Thank you for continuing to fight for yourself and your businesses so that spaces like these can remain open. If you're a pole student, please take a moment today and say thank you to your studio owners and instructors, especially if they're closed right now, because trust me, this is much harder on them than it is for you. Share about your favorite studio or business or artist. Support them by purchasing something if you can, but if you can't, maybe write them a review or recommend them to a friend. This industry may be a business, but we as a community can come together and support each other. And while we're talking about support, let me shout out this episode's sponsor, Bees Knees Knee Pads. If you listened to the last episode, you already know that Bees Knees Knee Pads are my absolute favorite. I always forget to put on my knee pads before I put on my heels, and this is no longer a problem with Bees Knees knee pads. A couple other reasons I love these knee pads. The owner, Sarah, has made her line incredibly inclusive. She offers 4 different colors of nude and sizes ranging from small to extra large. She also offers strap extenders if you're between sizes. If you haven't done so already, go to beeskneeskneepads.com. You can follow the link in the show notes and check out Bees Knees Knee Pads. You can use the code ARIELHOUR for 10% off of all colors excluding limited edition. And again, if you want more information, head to theaerialhour.com to check out our show notes. And speaking about the website, I've done a little bit of refreshing on our website. So if you have a moment, check it out and let me know what you think. We have a ton of new listeners from all across the world. So if this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for listening. It means the world to me. If you'd like to share a little bit of love, pop on Apple and write us a review. This helps other people find our show easier by ranking us higher in podcasts. And I just really love reading them, and I will put them on the website. And now on to today's interview, which is probably why you're actually here. This episode features Jackie from Spice Pole and Aerial Fitness in Duluth, Georgia. This interview is actually my last pre-COVID interview. So before releasing, I reached out to Jackie to ask her a couple of follow-up questions about how she's doing since the pandemic hit. She mentioned that it was really challenging when she first shut down in early March, that she immediately made the pivot to online classes. She was able to reopen in May, but she said she used the time to really focus on her business. She went back through it all, beginning with contracts, pricing, and classes, but with reduced class sizes and tons of protocols. But that has not stopped people from signing up. In fact, classes are still waitlisted currently. She says that her online classes have dwindled to mostly in-person classes now, but she still offers both. And this is huge. She's been able to expand next door. She said that she focuses on meditation, positive affirmation, and spiritual connection to make it through, along with great mentors like Sydney Seymour. Her advice now is to save your money and work with people that can help you further your business. And that's kind of what we talk about in this episode. In this interview, we go into the basics of starting Jackie's business. We went over almost every detail I could possibly cover in this hour. And what I loved most about this interview is anytime Jackie didn't know how to do something, she went to an expert that did know how to do it and that could help her along the way. We talk about how she created her business plan, found her space, and currently markets her business. If you want to know more about this episode, head over to theaerialhour.com and check out the show notes. I think I've covered everything for this episode, so I will see you on the other side. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Aerial Hour. Today, I am in Duluth, Atlanta. Okay.
Gwinnett County.
Yeah. And I am hanging out at Spice Studios with Jackie. Yes. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Doing very good.
Well, we are sitting in your beautiful, like seriously beautiful studio. Can you tell me a little bit about this space?
It's a long, crazy story that I could not have planned myself.
Yeah.
I wish I could say I had phenomenal design skills and, as I flip my hair, but I don't. It's funny. I just was kind of tossing the idea of opening a pole studio around my neighbor, and I didn't even know this neighbor that well. I just was like, we had just met maybe within the first 6 months of our friendship, our neighborship.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I think I might open up a pole studio. And I had kind of been thinking about the branding and everything. And she just looked at me and she was like, Jackie, no. No. This is bad. Like all of your design is bad.
Wow.
Like this is not good. And she just gave me like this extensive breakdown on why it was bad.
Okay.
And I was like, well, will you help me?
Yeah.
Help me. And she was like, of course. And she started sending me all this Pinterest stuff. And I was like, oh, wow. I said, no, I really need you. Like, once I get my space, will you design everything?
Yeah.
She's like, of course. Like, this is what I do. I had no idea. And so after the build out, she came in. Well, actually, even before the build out, she helped me kind of like plan how big the lobby should be and what could go where and the type of colors. And,
really?
I mean, she helped me from start to finish.
Wow.
And so all of the colors, all of the furniture, the pictures, the logo, she helped me pick the colors for the logo, the vibe that I wanted to give off here. I mean, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Ooh, we're going to get into all of this. How did you find the aerial community initially?
So I started my fitness journey back in like 2008. I was always, and everybody debates this, but I always felt like I was kind of a bigger kid.
Okay.
And so so I never really worked out until about 2008.
Okay.
And I said, I'm going to start going to the gym, get my life together. So I started going to the gym and I was doing the LA Fitness thing and getting on the treadmill and the elliptical, and I was so bored after a while. So I was like, well, I'm going to bump it up and get a personal trainer. And that was so boring after a while too. I'm like, come on, like give me something else to do.
Yeah.
And so I started taking kickboxing classes, which I thought would be great because at the time I was single and I was like, I'll meet some guys.
Yeah.
And it turned out that those gyms, to me anyway, like they're very clean, but like they're gross. Guys are like sweating all over the place and ew. It was
kickboxing class. Yeah. Not a good place to meet guys.
I mean, no, too close. Way too close. Like I became one of the guys. And I got punched and kicked all the time.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I mean, it was a great experience. I loved it. It had to happen in my life.
Yeah.
I got in really good shape.
Yeah.
But I was like, it stinks in here.
Right.
Ew.
Right.
But during that time, one of my friends started talking about taking pole dancing classes.
Okay.
And I was like, girl, that's not a real workout. Like, cute, you know, but that's not a real workout. And so she was like, whatever. Well, I'm going to start taking classes and I'll let you know how it goes. So she started taking her classes. I really didn't hear much from her about great or not great, whatever. I just was still doing my thing. She was doing her thing. So maybe about 6 months into her pole journey, I saw her at a house party, and there was a pole at the house party. And this girl went off on the pole. Like, I'm thinking she's just going to, like, whip her hair around and, you know, do some, like, weird things.
Right.
I think everybody's had that experience where they've seen somebody, like, super drunk and, like, get on a pole and just look ridiculous.
Absolutely.
So I thought she was going to do some of that.
Yeah.
And she looked like a total professional.
Yeah.
So
right.
I was like, you learned that at the pole studio you go to?
Yeah.
Like, you're inverting? And how did you learn how to do that stuff? She's like, we do this. Like, this is what we do in class. And so I probably signed up for classes like that same day or that same week. I was in there.
Really?
Yeah. So I started pole back in, I want to say November of 2013.
Okay. What made you fall in love?
Gosh, it was so challenging.
Yeah.
It was so challenging. And because I had been working out, about 4 years at that point, I had been working my body. So I had this confidence. Oh, and at that time I started running too.
Okay.
So I was actually training for a half marathon when I started doing pole. And so I'm like, I'm in great shape, like I'm gonna kill pole. And no, I didn't. The first day was like very humbling. And so I think that's what kept me coming back was, well, I'm looking at girls, I'm like, they're not training for half marathons. How come they could climb the pole? Well, you got to learn how to do this. So, and then I loved the music. I love music. And so it was it's almost like going to the club without the drinks and the weird guys and the crowd. You get to listen to great music. You get to put on your heels. You feel cute. And the community was really amazing and so supportive. And just meeting positive individuals and making connections with women in a way that I'd never really connected before, it just felt good. So I've been polling ever since.
That was my same reaction to it. There's something about this community that's so uplifting. We've talked about it on the show before. It's like this sense of vulnerability that happens in classes that builds these like extraordinary bonds, and it's just the most beautiful thing. Oh, I love it. How long was it? You opened your business in June of 2018, correct? So you've just celebrated 1.5 years?
1.5 years.
1.5 years. So that was 5 years before you decided to open your own space. What made you decide to open your own space?
So I'm going to keep all of the nasty, petty things out.
Of course, right.
I started doing pole, enjoyed it, loved it, still love it. And I was at a studio, pretty big studio in Atlanta, and was so happy there. I became an instructor and I loved it. Like, I loved teaching and interacting with the students and seeing them progress. And I was so happy. And there was an administrative change at that studio, and I understood why the owner decided to go in the direction that she did, but it impacted me negatively. And so I spoke with her about it, and we couldn't come to an agreement. And so she let me go, and I was devastated because at that point, that was my community. That was my pole community. And so I was like, oh, I'm pole homeless. And what I had seen was when people either stopped coming to the studio for whatever reason, life happened, or a disagreement with management, they never came back. They never came back to the studio, of course. And then they really stopped polling. And so that's what I thought was going to be in store for me. I'm like, oh man, like I lost that connection with my pole community. So now I'm just going to be a pole bum and, pole at home. And, what am I going to do? So luckily, I did find another studio to teach at. And so I taught at that studio, just to tell you how quickly things can change. So me leaving the big studio was November of 2017. Mind you, prior to that, happy, planned on polling forever, could have polled there forever. This was November of 2017. So lost that community, ended up teaching at another studio literally like within a few weeks. So I was teaching there through things. It didn't work out at that studio. And so I ended up leaving that studio in February of 2018. So I have
4 months.
Right. And so now I'm feeling really bad because I'm like, oh, I lost my main community, and then I tried to chart out on my own and do this other thing, and that didn't work. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? And so one of my good friends, Regina Usher, up at Georgia Chrome Star in Kennesaw, she's like, why don't you just start your own space? I'm like complaining and talking about, well, they didn't do this right, and if they had just done it like this, and da-da-da. She's like, well, why don't you just open your own studio? You got all these complaints, do your own thing. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about, Gina. Nobody's trying to open a studio. Like, that worked out for you. That's great. But I'm not trying to do that. But she planted the seed.
Yep.
And so I'm like, maybe I could open my own studio. I mean, I'm not going to open my own studio, but let me just look at some space. You know, let me just look at some spaces and see if I could open a studio.
Okay.
So I just started very lightly looking at commercial space for lease. And I'm like, these prices aren't too bad. You know, before I had just totally written off the idea of opening a studio without doing any research. I just said, I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's for rich people, you know?
Right.
And I started finding stuff, and I'm like, maybe I could open a studio, but I'm just going to do a 1-year lease. You know, I'm not going to take a huge risk. And if I find a space that's like a 1-year lease and it's like something cheap enough I could, you know, spend my own personal money if it doesn't work, then all right, I'll do it. And I found a space like that.
Wow.
And it actually did not work out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if we got into this part of the interview yet, but I was going to just roll straight on through into how I got here.
Yeah. That's...
So I found this space that would fit into my personal budget, and without making any money, I could have made it work.
Right.
And so I reached out to them. I said, hey, I want to come look at this space. I want to open up a pole studio here, and let me know what I need to do. And, you know, basically like, let me in here. And they were like, yeah, no, we don't allow that type of stuff here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were totally against it.
Where was this?
Snellville.
Okay.
Georgia.
Okay.
So still Gwinnett County, but a little further from where we are. East.
Okay.
And so, but before they told me no, they said, you need to have your business registered. I'm like, I don't even have a business. I just came here. I just want to look at it. I'm not trying to do all of this registering my business and all of this. I don't have a business right now. This is the future. So, but they were like, we're not even going to let you look at it until you have a business registration.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fine. So I went home and I got to come up with a name, you know? Like, I wasn't even trying to do all of this right now.
Right.
So I went home. I'm like, what am I going to call this place? So I started thinking about all these different names.
So how did you know what to do? Like, so you just, like, they said you needed a business license, and you were like, okay, business license, where are you?
So my background is in accounting.
Okay.
So I have a master's in accounting.
Okay.
So I kind of have a business. I know what to do, but I don't know the individual steps. And I also learned what to do back in like 2007.
Right.
So things have changed. So I just knew when she said you need a registration. And I might have even asked the lady, like, well, where am I supposed to get that? You know? I mean, I really didn't know much about starting a business. I wasn't even there yet.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
I just was looking for space.
Right.
As I throw up my air quotes.
Yeah, right. So everybody can see them.
So I think, and then I had my friend Gina, she was helping me, so I may have talked to her about it, and she kind of led me in the right direction.
Okay.
But it put me now at step one.
Okay. Which was naming your business and registering. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Go ahead and get it registered. So I went over a few names and Googled and all this other stuff, and it's so funny how we fight ourselves.
Yes.
Because the name Spice, everybody uses that in pole, like spice up this, or we're going to spice up that. And I'm like, why am I trying to do anything different? Spice, it works. Like, it's easy. I'm going to spice up your life. I'm going to spice up my workout, spice up my friendships. Like, it's so easy. So, and nobody had used it. In pole, at least. So
right.
I was like, yay, I'm going to take that one. So that's how the name came about.
Okay.
So I got my business registered, and now I've got all my paperwork. I'm legit now. Let me see this space.
Yeah.
And then that's when they told me, oh, yeah, we can't, like, we're not even going to, try to put anything like that in here. I'm like, why didn't you tell me that before I registered all this?
Right.
Spent all this money, which was like $50.
Right.
And like, no money at all. So, but now I had a whole business registered.
Right.
So, and I was still looking for space.
Okay.
So I was like kind of hurt by that, and because it was perfect in my mind. It was the perfect space.
Yeah.
So I kept on looking for other spaces, and I found other great spaces. And it's kind of similar to the home buying process. If anybody's gone through, I'm sure several of you guys have gone through that, but you find a house and you're like, this is the perfect house. And for whatever reason, it doesn't work out. And you're like, oh, you're sad. And you find another house. You're like, yay, it doesn't work out. So I went through that emotional roller coaster several times. But each time I found a space that I thought was perfect, it took me into another step of starting my business. So I found this one space I thought was absolutely phenomenal. I'm like, this is perfect. The price is right. Let me see that. I could see from the outside, but I wanted to see the inside, get a feel for it. I called the broker. I'm like, I want to see this space. Well, we're not going to let you see this space until we see your business plan and your financial plan.
Yeah.
I don't have a business plan or a financial plan. I just registered this business. I'm not trying to say that I'm going to pop up and open right now. I just want to look inside.
Somebody let me look.
Just let me look inside. I'm not trying to do all of this right now.
Right.
Well, that's what you have to do.
Right. So how did you do that? Since you have your experience and your background, did you know how to write a business plan?
It's super crazy. So I went to Clark Atlanta University.
Okay.
And I had this it was either business management or business law class. And the teacher was super weird, but he was like, we did a semester project where we had to write all of the steps for starting a small business. And each group in the class had a different step.
Okay.
And so I was like, when I was in college, I was not interested in being an entrepreneur. I thought those were rich people things, and I'm not starting a business, so who cares?
Right.
And I don't even remember what part of the project we had, but at the end of that project, he took all of our group pieces and he made us get all these different copies and put it into a binder. And he was like, I want you to keep this forever because you never know when you'll need it. Of course, I probably threw mine away at the end of the school year.
Right.
It may be somewhere, but I'm sure it's in the trash. Long gone. But I remembered all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I worked on a business plan in school. I worked on financial plans, like, Excel spreadsheets and using stuff like that. So even though I didn't have really hardcore experience, I knew generally
basics.
What to do.
Yeah.
So I'm like... And I knew it was going to be a lot of work.
Right.
But at that point, I was so fueled by frustration and anger and I just want to look at this space. I'm so mad and they're going to let me in this space. I'm going to write up some business plan, but it took me, I knew it was kind of and honestly, the universe or whatever people want to call it, knows what I needed. Because if I had to do it on my own, I would have procrastinated forever and it wouldn't have not happened. But the fact that somebody said, no, you can't do this until you do this, I'm like, okay, fine. So I would stay up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, working on this thing okay. I told you we opened in June of 18. I finished working at that other studio February of 18.
Yeah.
So all of this happened in a very short window, a very, very short window.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I wrote up my business plan. I wrote up my financial plan. And I'm like, I don't even know where I'm getting these numbers from. This is just my best guesstimate of what I'm going to do. And I sent it to this broker that told me that this was my way into looking at this space. I sent them all this information. Do you know they never even got back to me?
Oh my gosh.
They never even responded. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
but you kept going.
Of course, because now I have my business is registered. I have a business plan. I have my financial plan.
Yeah. Then you look like a pro.
Now I think, nobody's going to not let me in a space now. So I think after that, though, I did get kind of discouraged. And I said, you know what? Maybe this just isn't for me. I did all this work, and obviously it's not working. I don't even care anymore. I wasn't even trying to open a studio. I tried, and now I don't care anymore.
How did you get past that?
It was there. The seed was already planted, and at a certain point, it worked out, but I was discouraged, and but I think I had that drive. And I always tell people what's meant for you is going to happen. Nobody could have taken that desire from me at that point, no matter what the obstacle was. So I said, whatever, like, I'll keep going, but I'm not gonna like force it. So I cannot remember what I was doing, but I just so happened to like find this service called Tenant Base, and just came across it. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna call them. And maybe the problem is I'm trying to find my space on my own, and I need help finding a space. So I contacted Tenant Base, told them exactly what I needed. They gave me my own personal broker. It was free. And I kept asking, I'm like, how free is this?
Yeah, right.
Is this free?
Yeah.
Am I going to have to pay you later? Like, how does this work? Totally free to me.
Yeah.
Told them what I wanted. She wrote up all my stuff and started sending me spaces that were exactly what I needed within 2 or 3 days. So I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
So she found this space.
Okay.
My budget was extremely low.
Right.
Very, very low.
Right.
Because I wanted to be able to pay for this out of my personal money if necessary.
Right.
So
smart. Very smart.
Yeah. So she found this space. I came in here. Funny story. This used to be a Korean Christian bookstore.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's amazing.
We came in and had like all these like God is love and Bible verses on the wall.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So and I grew up Christian, and
Okay.
so I'm still a Christian.
Right.
But very, very like going to church every Sunday. And so when I saw that, I was kind of like, oh, is this a sign? Is this supposed to be my space?
Yeah.
So I came in and loved it. Oh, and guess what? They needed all the information that I had already put together. So my business plan, my financial plan, and the landlord's like, oh yeah, I need you to send me this information. You know, I'm like, oh, I can send it to you right now.
Here you go.
I'll forward it to you.
It's ready.
Yeah. So it worked out.
Yeah.
You know? So I sent them all my information, and then they gave me the price. And I was like, my face was not having it. So I'm like, oh, this is way out of my budget. Like, this is a commitment now. And initially, I just wanted to do a 1-year lease.
Yeah.
Just 1 year, just to see if it works. And if I have to give it up, I give it up. And I told myself, I said, you're going to get in what you put in. If you say you're going to do a 1-year lease, that's what you're going to do. You're going to have a 1-year business. Go for it. Go for it. Like, just go for it. And so I went ahead, I signed the lease. I ended up having access to a lot more resources than I thought I did. And
what do you mean by that?
So I actually had been saving for a long time, like, since I started working.
Okay.
And I had that savings.
Yeah.
But it never even dawned on me like I should use this money. It was like that was like money that was put aside.
Right.
And
not
so,
investment.
Yeah.
Savings.
Just like use it. You know? And so I said, well, go for it. Why not? You're already here. You found a space. The second studio that I worked at is actually in Gwinnett County.
Okay.
And great studio, great space. But I saw that I had a lot more experience than that owner, and that Gwinnett County needed, I'm not going to say needed, because they fit a niche too.
Right.
But I knew that I could bring something different here. And I feel like this area needed it.
Yeah, and there's room for everyone.
Yes, for sure. And so, but what I was envisioning, I'm like, I really think this would do well in this community. So I said, let's go for it. I talked to my husband about it at the time. I'm like, are you okay with this? He was like, if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
And so signed the lease and started build out in April.
Okay.
So it was like a whirlwind.
Wow. Okay. So February, you start looking. April, you get your space.
Yeah.
What things were you like? I know you worked with somebody in branding and creating the space. What things were you like, I have to have this in this space?
Honestly, I didn't do anything.
Okay.
I knew, so the things that I knew I wanted in the space, for one, I knew I wanted to do pole and lyra and silks.
Okay.
So I knew I needed enough space to be able to make that happen.
Okay.
I'm also very sensitive about the type of poles that I use. And so I wanted really high poles, and I wanted good static and spin poles.
Okay.
And the best that I had saw up until that point was Lupit.
Right.
So I knew I wanted Lupit poles. I knew I wanted them to be really high. And then the Lyra and the silks, I just contacted people that I knew in the aerial community and got their recommendations.
Okay.
But as far as like the design for everything, that was all my neighbor friend. Yeah.
Wow.
All my neighbors. So she actually told me, she said, Jackie, you don't want, because my vision, because it was spice, I wanted to be dark and bold and, you know, and weird. Like, that's not my lane. Like, it's just not my lane. And so she was like, you want something that's open and inviting, you know, and to make everyone feel comfortable when they walk into your space. It doesn't have to be so, like, sexy, you know, like welcome to the sex dungeon. You know, it can be nice and light and friendly.
Right.
And we walked in and she said, this wall needs to be this color, this wall needs to be that color. And, you know, she figured out everything.
I love the lighting. I mean, I love the lighting that you use throughout. I think it is very like warm and inviting from the moment you walk in, but especially in the main studio room, you have these LED panels. And I think the color of the wall lends so well because it fills up the color nicely. So that's all her.
Okay, so the lighting was a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know how I got connected with such creative and wonderful sharing people, because my neighbor, she made all the paint and the design and everything happen. My husband actually is super into, and I tell him this all the time, he needs to start like a tech design, like smart home design business, because he pretty much fit out this whole space with all of he had all the ideas for the type of lighting.
Okay.
So so we have strip lights in the back, but the strip lights are actually hue lights, Philips Hue. So I can change the temperature of the lights from my phone. We're very smart around here.
I like
smart,
it.
technology friendly. So we can change the temperature of the lights. We can change how bright they are, how white they are, how yellow or blue. And then the LED panels can all change. So that was kind of his idea. The LED panels I had seen at other studios. So I was like, oh yeah, I want some of those. But I'd never seen people change the colors. I'd only seen like one color on the panels. So our panels can change different colors. So literally when the instructors come in, I'm like, if you're feeling blue, you can get you some blue. If you want green, and it changes the whole vibe.
It does.
So, and we can turn down the white lights if we want to.
Right.
So that, he helped a lot with that, with the actual lighting and how that would look really great in
How
here.
about the flooring? Was this here?
Thank God the flooring was already here.
The flooring was already here. This is great flooring.
Yes. That was one of the things I talked to about with my tenant-based broker. I said I needed there to already be like hardwood or some type of vinyl. Because, you know, I don't want to have to do that. Or pay anyone to have to do it. So.
And then you put up mirrors and the poles and the rigging and and it flows so beautifully through the space. It's gorgeous. It's 1,600 square feet?
1,600.
That's amazing. Super cool. And the poles are 14 feet high. 14?
They're actually 15 and a half. Yeah, but that's above the drop ceiling. But they're 14 feet for us to use.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you have 2 months before the studio opens. So this is crunch time. You're painting the studio, you're outfitting it, you're getting everything ready. What are you doing? You had been an instructor, so you had some people, I'm sure, that loved you and were going to come to your space. But how did you market your business to new people in this community?
It's really crazy because I didn't think people loved me and wanted to come here and would support what I was doing at all.
Isn't that crazy that our minds tell us this stuff? It's really crazy. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I thought this was going to be a very quiet opening and no one would know it was me, and I really didn't want people to know it was me. I just wanted to just quietly open this pole studio in Gwinnett County, and no, it's Jackie, who's that? Like, I did not want people to know it was me. And so I started the Instagram. And I posted on there, like, we're hiring. And I remember the first email I got was from a girl that I knew. And at that time, I hadn't told anyone. And I was like, why are you emailing this place?
Yeah.
Aren't you happy where you are?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, somebody emailed. Somebody that's already in the pole community emailed Spice.
Yeah.
So, and it went from there. And I just got so many amazing people that started reaching out, like, I want to be there. And so that's how I built my instructors. And then it was the same way with the students.
So going back to the instructors, how did you choose your instructors? Like, what characteristics did you look for in an instructors?
Good people.
Good people.
Good people.
What does that mean for you?
People that just, you know, they're not messy. When you talk to them, they're not just gossiping. I know everybody's got their gossip time.
Right.
But, you know, they're just happy people. They're happy. They're passionate about what they do. They're passionate about pole. They have a story about why they stayed with pole. You know, to me, anybody can hop on a pole and learn some tricks and be amazing at it. But the people that I want here in my space are here because pole actually is something that's changed their lives. You really have to be passionate about this.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's taxing on your body. After a while, you start teaching, people start treating you bad or whatever, they get on your nerves. You might lose that desire to just teach tricks.
Right.
But I will never lose that desire to help other women find themselves.
Yeah.
So that may take another lane, but for right now, pole fulfills that. So I need something that people can connect to that's outside of just the physical.
Yeah.
So I very much look for that in my instructors.
So when you started, how many instructors did you bring on to begin with?
I think at the beginning we had about 10.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, about
okay.
10 instructors.
Okay. And then how did you market to new people in this community as far as getting people to come in?
So I actually, and I'm so glad, back to my friend Gina.
Yeah.
Gina told me when I said I was opening up a studio, she said, you need to get on with, you need to start working with this person. Her name is Sydney Seymour.
Yeah.
From Six Figure Pole Studio. Yeah. And so I went on her website and I'm like, oh my gosh, it costs money.
Yeah.
Why can't it be free? And so, but I knew enough to know that I knew nothing about marketing and about really running like the meat of getting customers in. And so I got on with Six Figure Pole Studio. And even though at that time it was an expense, it was a big expense. And it was a big commitment for me at that time. And so, but I said, what are you going to do? You know, you're going to try to do this on your own? You just spent all this money? No, you need to get some advice from somebody that's been there.
Yeah.
And Sydney Seymour saved my ass.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
Yeah.
Saved me because I go back and I look at that financial plan.
Yeah.
It was a mess. Okay. It was a mess. My pricing structure was all messed up.
Okay.
But that, as a person with a master's in accounting, I'm thinking this is great. Like, this is how you get customers. I thought I knew what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
And so thankfully I had somebody in my corner, a friend, a true friend that would say to me, hey, go get this. This is what I've been doing.
Right.
Go get this information and this knowledge from this person.
Yes.
And saved me.
Yeah.
Saved Spice.
Right.
For real. So Sydney gave me a lot of information on how to structure my pricing, how to do my branding, you know, just a lot of like little things that I never would have thought about.
Right.
But when it came to marketing to this community, I was just going to have to kind of get out there and figure it out.
Okay.
And so, and I told so Gwinnett County has this reputation as being like very suburban, very like housewives type of place, you know, not very progressive, not a lot of young people. And that is not true.
Okay.
At least in this area, there's a lot of young people in this area. This is a very techie kind of
That's what I was thinking.
Community. So there's a lot of young people. There's a lot going on in Duluth where I live and where Spice is. So I was thinking like, guys, you know, I told all my instructors, I'm like, okay, listen, I know y'all love pole. I know y'all love doing crazy pole, but we got to relax. Like, we're going to have to chill out, you know, take it really slow. We're going to be dealing with a lot of beginners.
Yeah.
So guys, just, you know, we'll bump it up later. But for now, it's intro pole for real. Yeah, right. I started getting, again, going back to my mindset in the beginning was nobody from these other established pole studios are going to come to my little one-room pole studio that nobody knows about because Jackie opened it. Nobody cares. Nobody's coming all the way up 85 to Spice. They're not. The only people I'm going to get in here are people that live in this community. Not true. I started getting all these people from other studios that were thirsty for intermediate pole. And it blew my mind because what I had seen in this community since I've been polling was one way, you know, sensual movement, sensual dance, not a real emphasis on spin pole, not a big emphasis on training and conditioning. It was like, we're just here to like have a good time, shake the boobies, shake the hair, and go home. Which was great. I loved that. But I wanted more. I wanted to be prepared for competition if I wanted to compete. I wanted to have people like in here like seeing results in their body and really feeling like this is a sport. And yes, you can still be sexy, but I've always said in order to be really sexy, the girls that are super exotic, they're in some of the best shape.
Right. Seriously.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know, you can't just, you know, practice whipping your hair around all the time. You got to climb and do some work. So yeah, we started getting all these intermediate girls and our team, you know, started to grow. People started reaching out and they were recognizing what we were doing here. And they're like, man, I want to be a part of that too. So we started out very small. We had a very small clientele, but steady. A steady, you know, people constantly coming in. And like we built more intermediate, like our intermediate student base was larger at one point than our beginners. Like right now it's probably about half and half. But I think a lot of people still come here because they know they're going to get their ass kicked. Like,
I see it on the gram.
Like, oh, wow. So, I mean, some people that they come in and they're like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not ready. Like, I get people that come in all the time. They're like, I need to go to the gym first. I'm like, you don't. We got you. We got you. But, so we started out with that, like, oh, guys, keep it cool, keep it simple. But our students demanded more of us.
That's awesome.
Even the beginner students are here for it. Like, they really are. So it's funny, like I feel like because we had that influx of people that were looking for something different, the marketing kind of
took care of it.
Took care of itself because with social media now, people are posting. And people love the lights. Like sometimes people literally will come here and just be like, the Spice lights, like I just want to, people walk in and they're like immediately selfies and sharing. And so just having a space that made people feel special and made them like, oh my gosh, look at how I look in this light. They're posting it on Instagram. They're sharing with their friends and friends are sharing with friends. And so the marketing kind of took care of itself.
I think the best way to market your business is to have your clients do it for you. Like that's the word of mouth is gonna always be the best. Did you guys do like a grand opening or? We did a grand opening. What did that entail?
It was packed. Oh my gosh, we had.
I love that.
Crazy. I had no idea. Again, I'm thinking like nobody's gonna come. Whatever, we just do it so we don't get fined. And people came and supported, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I don't know. It was amazing. We did a soft opening for a couple weeks just to kind of like fill it out. And then the day of the grand opening, I think we did 2 like kind of free classes. And they were packed. It was packed. And I could not believe it.
Did you learn anything during that soft opening that you had to change or
Use mind body.
Okay. Let's actually talk about that. So you use mind body. That's your scheduling system? Okay. Why?
I was using another service and I think what they're doing is great and I hope that they can get to the point where they're doing what they're trying to do, but they weren't there at that point. And so I was not trying to spend that money on mind body. It's not cheap. But I was not trying to spend the money and I started with this other company and it was like, no.
Yeah.
No, this is not going to work. So Sydney Seymour.
Yeah.
Sydney. It's funny because I probably had been using the service that I was using prior to MindBody for about a week. And I was like, this is hard.
Right.
This is really, really ridiculous. And Sydney did she does like Facebook Lives for our group. And she was just going off about why like some people use other services, and she's like MindBody makes me money, and MindBody, she just was going on and on and on about MindBody. I was like, fine, Sydney, I hear you. And I called MindBody that day, and it was a pretty seamless transition, especially because I was brand new. But yeah, so within that soft opening period, I went live with the other company, found that it wasn't what I wanted, and then went with MindBody and had MindBody up and running. I want to say, if it wasn't at the grand opening, it was pretty shortly after the grand opening.
Okay.
We had it up and running.
What are some of the features that you really love about MindBody?
It's familiar.
Right.
It's a familiar software. People, hairstylists use it, spas use it, other aerial businesses use it. So it's kind of an easy transition for people, that already have an account. And I tell them, hey, MindBody, they already know what that means.
Right.
I do like the customer service.
Okay.
I can call them pretty much at any time and they'll help me. I have not had a problem with them, but I also find that sometimes the customer service aspect is what some people don't like about them.
Right.
But so far, I've had a good experience with them. But the customer service, if I'm having a problem and I'm trying to do something, I just can't figure it out, I call them, they help me.
Okay.
And they can like patch right into my computer and look at what I am seeing, and they can work with me anytime.
Okay.
And as an entrepreneur, I don't know if you have this problem, but usually I'm working in weird hours.
Right,
like
right.
2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I can call them and they'll help me.
Okay.
And that, I really like that about them. They have a waiting list. They have great reporting. It's a pretty easy software to use. It's not perfect, but nothing's perfect.
Right.
So I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it.
So you did a soft opening for how long?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And then you opened the studio June of 2018.
I think the official grand opening was sometime like early July.
Okay, July. Okay. So it opens, classes start filling up?
No.
No. Yeah.
I was talking to a student about this the other day. There were classes that were empty.
Yeah.
We would have 1 or 2 people in here, and I mean, I felt it. I saw it. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's 2 people in this class. Or we had plenty of classes that had 1 person in class, and I loved it.
Yeah.
With 1 person, we had so much fun. With 2 or 3 people, and I was talking about this with one of the students. I said, "Man, classes are waitlisted now."
Yeah.
I remember when there was nobody in here, and we were happy. With nobody in here.
Right.
I mean, obviously, I wasn't like thrilled about it, but it was still a great experience.
Yeah.
So no, classes did not fill up right away, but it didn't take too long.
Okay.
We started in June-ish, July officially. August, September was kind of slow, but...
Which is typical even for most studios. Yeah, July. Okay.
Summertime.
Right.
So I opened, this goes back to the not really planning this thing out. Opened right in the middle of like most places' slow season.
Okay.
So it was kind of slow, but it picked up. We had Anakia come out. We did a workshop with Anakia. That brought out a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
One of our instructors is so connected with the pole community through Instagram, and she doesn't mind. She'll reach out and be like, "Hey, I want you to come here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That works. You do that, and people respond." And so she had Nan Designs come and do like a fashion show that brought out a ton of people.
Okay.
We had a couple of showcases, and then in December we did like a fit challenge.
Okay.
And so.
What did that entail?
We did an unlimited deal where it was like whoever can take the most classes wins a prize. At the end. I will never do that again.
Okay.
Because people take that to heart.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, I can take as many classes. You want me to take as many classes as I possibly can? I'm going to destroy myself to try to take as many classes. And I saw it. I was like, I'm not doing this. It was great. A lot of people came in. It was packed in here. 6 months in, pretty much 6 months into the, studio being open, now we've got packed classes. I'm like, yay! But I'm like, no, I want you to take care of yourself.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it was a good year,
okay.
half a year, I get all confused, 2018.
Okay.
Was pretty good.
Yeah.
The first 6 months wasn't terrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're building, did you have a bunch of different styles of classes? Did you start with like all the different apparatus?
We started out, we wanted to have sensual movement for sure.
Okay.
But then we also wanted to have a lot of tricks-based drop-ins.
Okay.
Excuse me, as well. So we always had the sensual dance classes. We added in a few different touches here and there. So we had a girl that is like all into rock music, and she's like, you need a class that's got like all rock music. And so I said, okay, all right,
yeah.
well, I guess I'll throw it on the schedule. It is one of our most popular classes.
Okay.
Has been one of our most popular classes since we started.
Okay.
Since we started that class. It's called Alter Ego.
Ooh.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And then we do Russian Exotic.
Okay.
Then just we call it Spice Flow, just our sensual class. Then we have an exotic class that's like a step up to the nasty.
Okay. I like it.
Spin pole was always like a big thing for me. I'm like, we have to do spin pole.
Yeah.
So we started out doing an intermediate spin class, and then quickly realized that that's hard.
Yeah.
And so now we have a low flow spin class, and that has been super popular too.
Yeah.
So we've learned like what really works, and that's kind of, I'm big on that, like listening to what the students say, and I try to be here and leave myself open and available to what their suggestions.
Right.
And so they say, hey, I want to try this, or maybe you should do that. If I can, I try to implement it.
Yeah.
So
how do you decide when to take a class off the schedule?
it's just not working.
Okay.
It's just not working.
Yeah.
And you can tell
Yeah.
when it's not working. And it doesn't even necessarily have to do with the numbers.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it has a lot to do with the numbers, obviously, but the vibe just isn't great.
Okay.
You know, you walk in class and like people are there, but they're really not.
Okay.
And classes like that, I'm like, we can get rid of those.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you let them go for like a month and then just kind of cut it, or is it just a case by case basis?
Usually I'll let it go for the month.
Okay.
And if it's not
Picking up.
Yeah, and it's funny, even name changes, like a name
Right,
change on the
it's
same
funny.
class can make all the difference.
It's so funny.
Sometimes you just need to change the name.
Right. Right.
So yeah, usually about a month, and I'm like, oh, well, let's figure this out.
Okay. And then I want to talk a little bit about your website real fast. You have a chat box on your website. Do you find people utilize that?
All the time.
Yeah, I rather talk to like chat than call somebody.
All the time.
And that's like the first thing that pops up on your website, and I love that. What made you decide to do that?
Six figure
Okay.
pole studio.
All right.
Yeah, Sydney.
You got to shout her out in this episode.
Oh my gosh,
for sure.
she's amazing.
I will definitely reach out.
I know people that have reached out to me about starting studios, and I tell them all the time, I'm like, get with Sydney. If it's not Sydney, get someone.
Right.
Get someone that she's been, I think, when I started with her studio, or she had been running pole studio business for 12 years.
Yeah.
So she's like, I've been at the highest I've ever been, and I've been at the lowest.
Right.
And I want you to not have to be where I was at that low point.
Yeah.
And these are the steps that I took. And I'm so thankful that I even had the humility to say, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
Let me get this information from someone else. And it was available to me.
Right. That's amazing. So mentors. Everybody should have a mentor.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody should. And have a mentor outside of pole, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Pole is still very, very small. And I know it's growing, and I know it's great. But, and then also for me, because I teach and I do all the administrative stuff, I can't pole forever. I like to think that I can pole forever, but at this pace, I know I can't.
Right.
What am I going to do outside of this? What can I branch off, or how can I take this and turn it into something else? And so having a mentor outside of pole is very helpful, because you still want to keep some type of a professional resume, or just a non-pole life.
Right.
Because the reality is, like, yes, you're a business owner. If you want to try to transition into something else in another field, they don't want to see these pictures of you with your cheeks out.
Right.
You know?
Right.
They're gonna be like, what is this?
Right.
You are a stripper? Like, no, I'm not a stripper, but whatever. Can I hang out with you guys too?
Yeah.
You know? So I have a non-pole mentor as well.
That's good. And you also have a stage name, correct?
Yes.
And is that why?
No. The studio I was at when I first started polling was all about stage names.
Okay.
So I had to have a stage name. And so that is how Niyah Marie was born.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so I know we've got your student here, so I want to let you go, but I have to ask you.
Okay.
What is your favorite performance that you've ever done of yourself?
My favorite performance was definitely PSO Southern last year because, I mean, going back and looking at it, of course, I could pick it apart and be like, what I should have done, what I could have done, whatever. But what made it great was I trained with great people. I trained with amazing people right here in Spice. It was such a collaboration. Like everybody that competed last year was here late night, working hard, training together, supporting each other, telling each other, no, you're going to be great. No, you're great. No, you're amazing. Get up and do it again. That was good, but you didn't have pointed toes. I mean, it was such a collaboration, and we all felt that we were going to do a really good job, but to actually for me to actually go up on stage with that confidence and all of my friends sitting in the audience and them yelling like, yes, you're gonna do it, you're amazing. And then I actually placed first in that category. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much the performance itself, it was everything that went into it behind the scenes and being there with amazing people.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was a beautiful performance.
Oh, thank
you. Looked up. I had a hard time finding a lot of performances, but I found that one, and it is a beautiful. So many moments of ooey gooiness. It will be posted in the show notes. And your favorite performance of someone else?
Oh man, so many.
Yeah.
But for sure, I would say PoleCon, BGP Showcase, freaking Ashley Fox.
What year?
Last year.
Oh my god.
In Denver, she tore that stage apart.
Yes.
Apart. I'm just like, girl. And I talked to her like the next day. I saw her just walking around, and it's crazy because I look at her and I'm just like, you're a celebrity.
Yeah.
And I just saw her walking around PoleCon and just had a conversation. She's just a normal person, but that girl is a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah, she is.
And she, to me, is no boundaries. Like when people start coming and they're talking about, I can't do this because, or I can't, I'm like, look at Ashley Fox.
Right. Absolutely.
Period. And one thing that girl said to me was, I train. This isn't natural ability. Maybe I'm sure there is some natural ability there. She's like, I work my butt off.
Yeah.
I train for this.
Right.
So that, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing. I love that performance as well.
And it was like 5 minutes long.
Yeah,
she went the whole time.
She's a machine. I mean, the training.
Yes.
She's legit a machine. I really just quickly want to point out a couple of things we didn't get to talk about. Your Google reviews are incredible. I really love how responsive you are to every single review. There was a comment from you, and I think that's really important. And you had fantastic reviews across all the platforms. And I think the vibe that you've created here is just really, really special. And I've heard nothing but amazing things about you. We didn't get to talk about the showcases, but I will come back another time and we will talk again. And I am so excited that I get to take a class with you tonight.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Yay, thank you. Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Aerial Hour. I hope you learned something new or learned more about your favorite artist or at least had a relaxing time. If you want to know more about this episode, head over to theaerialhour.com and check out our show notes. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Aerial Hour and write us a review on Apple. This really, really helps us, and it also just makes my day. I really, really hope you guys are enjoying this project as much as I am. It is truly a labor of love, so I appreciate your patience as I still continue to learn things on a regular basis. I think that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
I started taking kickboxing classes, which I thought would be great because at the time I was single and I was like, I'll meet some guys.
Yeah.
And it turned out that those gyms, to me anyway, like they're very clean, but like they're gross. Guys are like sweating all over the place and ew.